All right, let's start with our ingredients. We need 1 cup of butter, 2 large eggs, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of white sugar. Now we're going to go to vanilla, 2 teaspoons, 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 cups of milk chocolate chips, and half a teaspoon of salt. Let's talk about tools. So you can use a stand mixer like this, or you can use your hands. 2 ice cream scoopers, 1 for small cookies, 1 for larger cookies, a spatula to scrape down your bowl, a whisk to cream your butter and sugar, and a paddle to mix in your chocolate chips. Then you need oven mitts, a tray, and a nonstick pad or Crisco. Mixing. Alright, so now we're going to whip up our butter until it gets nice and smooth. Add our white sugar nice and slowly. And then when that's fully incorporated, add in your brown sugar. Now this will kick up a bit, so you may need to slow down your mixer just a tad. We're going to put on our splash shield so that way we can throw in our eggs one at a time. And make sure that you always crack your eggs into a separate bowl, so that way if you do make a mistake with the shell, it doesn't go into your batter. Once the first egg is fully incorporated, add your second egg. Now those of you who are paying attention, we called those wet ingredients, so it's kind of interesting in baking. Typically sugar is considered a wet ingredient in baking, unless the recipe specifies otherwise. Now we're going to make sure that all of our ingredients get incorporated together, so we're going to scrape down the bowl. And we're just testing to see how creamy it is. And this is looking really good. All right, yeah, that's great. Okay, now we're going to start the mixer up again. Let's add some water to our baking soda. I already added the salt into there. So the reason you add salt to chocolate chip cookies is to intensify the flavor of the chocolate. So we're just going to pour that in. And another reason to use a little bit of water is to fully dissolve the baking soda and the salt, so that way you don't get salt crystals in the middle of your cookie. Again, we're going to scrape everything down so that way we get a good mix. And make sure you spend your time on the creaming process so that way your cookies come out nice and smooth and not crunchy with sugar crystals. Now we're going to throw the splash shield back up, and we're going to grab a towel and throw that over the stand mixer so that way we don't have flour going everywhere. And we're going to slowly work in our flour. Now at this point I should have swapped out my whisk for a paddle attachment because this batter can get very dense. And you can also overwork your gluten. So if you mix too much, you're going to get a chewy cookie. So yeah, that's the fun thing about baking, is you get to experiment a bit with some of the smaller things, but the recipe will always stay the same. We're going to throw in our vanilla, and vanilla we considered as a wet, dry ingredient. And we're going to mix in our chocolate chips. Once those are well distributed throughout the batter, we're going to turn off the mixer. And we got the cookie dough sticking to the paddle attachment there. All right, let's go to baking. So I found it really easy to use an ice cream scooper. I found these on Amazon. It's a set of 3. So you have really small ones, and then it goes up to this really large one, which we'll use here. Make sure your cookies are about an inch or 2 apart for the smaller ones. The larger cookies, you're going to want to give them another inch of space. It also depends on the recipe, how much your cookies spread. Sometimes they'll spread more, sometimes they'll spread less. And it's okay to use several cycles of the oven to fully cook all the dough that you have. So, yep, we're going to slide our cookies in. And then we're just going to let them bake for 10 minutes. So here's a quick time lapse of that. Beautiful. So let's see how we did. Those look great. And so these cookies are very puffy because of the baking soda that we added. Once they cool, it'll flatten out a little bit, but they'll still look great.